Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, well, we're kind of rounding out what's been a truly fascinating intellectual journey. I think it's fair to say it's one that has significantly reframed how we think about human relationships.
Absolutely, and the very fabric of social reality itself.
Exactly. Our focus today is Jalan Simonovic's, well, groundbreaking work, Cognosystemic Theory of Human Psychosocial Relational Construction, or TCCR. And our mission here, it isn't just to give you a summary. No, it's really to explore the huge epistemological, ethical, political landscape that TCCR opens up. And it all culminates in this, well, this bold proposal to redefine social work, to see it as a relational science with its own genuine conceptual and operational autonomy.
That's a big claim.
It really is. So get ready to unpack a framework that honestly promises to be truly transformative. So let's really dive into the core of this. The TCCR, this robust theory, it didn't just appear out of thin air, did it? Not at all. It emerged, as I understand it, as a direct response to a pretty fundamental, long-standing challenge within social work itself. What was that pivotal problem it aimed to address?
Well, what's truly fascinating, I think, is how directly the TCCR responds to what Simonovic really identifies as social work's, maybe its historical Achilles heel, which is this perceived lack of an original unifying theoretical framework. For too long, social work, despite its absolutely vital role—
Undeniably vital, yes.
It's often relied on theories borrowed from other disciplines, sociology, psychology, anthropology, you name it, but without a core sort of self-contained theory of its own.
Right, kind of like a toolkit assembled from elsewhere.
Exactly. And this absence, as Simonovic argues, has, it's undeniably hindered the discipline's full recognition as a truly robust scientific field. It's limited its unique contributions to knowledge, what we might call its epistemological development, and ultimately its capacity for really profound, truly transformative intervention.
I see.
So it's about giving the practice a coherent, distinct intellectual home, rather than always being maybe a renter in someone else's theoretical house.
So for you listening right now, just imagine that. A field constantly needing to borrow tools from all these different workshops, but lacking its own foundational blueprint, its own unique set of instructions or guiding principles. This is the intellectual void the TCCR aims to fill. It's effectively giving social work its own distinct, purpose-built intellectual home. That's a massive shift.
It is indeed. And that's precisely why the TCCR is far more than just another functional theory. It's really conceived as a comprehensive disciplinary proposal. It's designed to fundamentally redefine three crucial aspects for social work.
Okay, what are those?
First, it redefines the object of study. So it's no longer simply about focusing on individuals or groups in isolation, but rather on the psychosocial relational construction of human reality. That's the key phrase.
Psychosocial relational construction.
Okay. Yes. And this means understanding how reality itself, our perceptions, our identities, even our social structures, how all of that is continuously built and rebuilt through dynamic interactions and relationships. Think of it maybe as studying the invisible threads that weave our social world together.
Interesting metaphor. Okay, so that's the object of study. What's next?
Secondly, it redefines the method. The TCCR describes its approach as narrative, cognitive, systemic, and situated.
Narrative, cognitive, systemic, situated. Got it.
And importantly, this isn't just a pick-and-choose list. It's presented as an integrated methodology. It acknowledges that to truly grasp human experience, we have to deeply analyze the stories people tell.
The narrative part.
Exactly. Then how they think about and interpret those stories.
Cognitive.
Right, the interconnected systems these stories operate within.
Systemic.
And, crucially, the specific cultural and historical contexts in which they all unfold.
The situated part.
Well, it's really a multi-lens approach to understanding human behavior and experience.
Makes sense. And the third aspect.
And thirdly, it redefines the professional role of the social worker. It proposes a shift from, let's say, simply providing aid or services.
Traditional view, perhaps.
Perhaps, yes. To being a facilitator of symbolic, relational, and structural transformation.
Facilitator of transformation.
Yeah.
That sounds much more active.
It is. This isn't just about fixing immediate problems, you see. It's about enabling individuals and communities to actively reshape the very symbolic frameworks, the relational patterns, and the underlying social structures that influence their lives. Ultimately, it's about empowering people to become, in a sense, architects of their own reality.
That's a really significant pivot. So if we unpack that a bit more, what does it truly mean for social work to embrace this identity as a relational science? How does it fundamentally move beyond what many might traditionally perceive as, just offering assistance or implementing technical solutions? What's the practical difference on the ground?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the TCCR positions social work as a deeply applied social science. Its specialization lies precisely in analyzing, understanding, and, crucially, intervening in these relational systems of psychosocial construction we've just discussed.
Okay.
It marks a deliberate departure from what some might call existentialist, purely technical views, perspectives that might focus solely on providing immediate welfare responses or maybe just superficial problem solving.
Right, treating symptoms rather than causes.
Exactly. Instead, it embraces a far more relational, interdisciplinary, and theoretically mature model. Imagine it not merely as, say, fixing broken parts of a machine, but actively understanding and reshaping the intricate living relational fabric that actually underpins those problems. It recognizes that human beings are just inherently social, right?
Yeah.
And their identity, their well-being, their capacity for change, it's all intrinsically linked to the relationships and the narratives they inhabit. It really is about getting to the root, not just, putting a plaster on the symptoms.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a little bit mind-bending for some listeners.
Mm-hmm.
To achieve these pretty ambitious goals, the TCCR must offer some truly distinctive conceptual tools. What are some of those key innovations, the building blocks that allow it to analyze and intervene in this complex relational reality?
Yeah, absolutely. And the TCCR does provide a remarkably coherent and, I think, powerful conceptual framework. It introduces several key concepts that really act as its intellectual building blocks. First, there's the Cognosystem. Okay, now this isn't just a static idea. It's envisioned as a dynamic, living system that's in constant motion. Mm-hmm. It integrates multiple narrative levels. Think from the deeply personal stories of an individual to the shared narratives within a family, right up to the broad cultural stories that shape an entire society.
Oh, okay. All levels.
All levels, and all through continuous interaction and feedback loops. Think of it like maybe a vast interconnected digital network where every piece of information, every story shared influences and is influenced by everything else. It's like a narrative ecosystem.
Exactly. Or maybe a cybernetic ecosystem, if you like, where narratives are constantly interacting across all these levels, shaping our understanding of the world. Then building right on that, we have the Cognosystemic narrative.
Okay.
This concept really captures how language isn't just a tool for describing reality. It actively creates reality.
Right. Language is action.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's a powerful story, and the theory organizes it around 8 fundamental elements. Our direct experience, our perceptions and emotions about it, the specific context, the propositional content like the factual claims, our cognitive evaluation of it, our epistemic attitude, how we believe or know it, and then finally, its purpose and function.
Okay, that's quite detailed. Can you give an example?
Sure. So a cognosystemic narrative might be, say, a widely held belief in a particular community that our town has always bounced back stronger after every challenge.
Right, a resilience narrative. Exactly, but it isn't just a historical observation. It's a narrative that actively guides action, shapes collective resilience, influences how the community approaches new crises. It fosters hope and proactive problem solving. It does something.
That makes immediate sense. I mean, we all know the power of those kinds of stories, individually and collectively. And it sounds like the TCCR goes even deeper with the next concept.
Absolutely. A truly powerful and perhaps newer concept here is the cognosystemic meme.
Meme. Like an internet meme.
Well, analogous but broader. Think of it like a biological gene, but for culture. It's not just any idea. It's a fundamental unit of cultural information. A narrative, a belief, an operating principle that replicates, adapts, and evolves as it spreads through social interaction.
Okay, unit of cultural replication.
Yes. For instance, consider the narrative that a good education is the only path to success. This functions as a cognosystemic meme. It replicates through family advice, educational policies, media portrayals, societal expectations, It adapts over time, maybe to include new forms of education or skills, but its core message persists, deeply shaping individual choices and societal values.
Oh, I see.
So it's really about actively shaping perceptions and driving these widespread societal shifts, not just, passively sharing information.
So these memes are kind of like the underlying code of our social operating system. guiding our collective behavior.
That's a great way to put it, yes. And within this really complex system, the TCCR also highlights narrative frictions and adaptation.
Narrative frictions.
Okay, what's that about?
This occurs when different interpretations or values embedded within narratives come into conflict. So, for instance, imagine the tension between a narrative of, say, economic growth at all costs.
Very common one. And a narrative of environmental sustainability and community well-being. Now, this friction, this clash, isn't simply dysfunctional. The theory sees it as a dynamic force that can actually drive adaptation and transformation.
So conflict isn't always bad.
Not necessarily. When these two narratives clash, it can lead to a new, maybe hybrid approach. Perhaps a local policy that integrates green technologies with community-led development, reinterpreting both growth and sustainability in a more integrated way. It can be the spark for innovation.
Interesting. Okay, and the last conceptual tool you mentioned.
And finally, we have narrative hierarchies and displacements. The TCCR posits that narratives aren't all equal, they are stratified.
Yeah, stratified, meaning
some achieve hegemony, they become dominant, widely accepted, almost taken for granted, while others are marginalized or even subjugated, sort of pushed to the fringes of public discourse.
Okay, so some stories have more power than others.
Exactly. A compelling example might be the gig economy narrative. It started, as a kind of niche idea among tech entrepreneurs,
right.
But through relentless marketing, the promise of flexibility, the rise of platform-based services. It has significantly displaced older narratives around traditional employment, worker benefits, job security.
Definitely see that happening.
So this demonstrates how narratives can rise from quite marginal positions to become incredibly powerful, shaping entire industries and worker expectations.
Wow. That's a lot to process. The Cognosystem as the network, narratives as the stories, memes as the replicating ideas, and then these dynamics of friction and hierarchy shaping them all.
Yep.
What's truly remarkable, though, is how the TCCR manages to stitch all of this together. It seems to draw from so many different fields.
Yes, absolutely. I think its transdisciplinary nature is genuinely one of its greatest strengths. The TCCR seamlessly integrates profound insights from a whole range of academic fields. It draws on phenomenology, looking at subjective experience, the lived world, bringing in perspectives from thinkers like Husserl and Schutz. It incorporates hermeneutics, focusing on meaning-making, interpretation, much like, say, Gadamer's work.
Right.
From systems theory, it gets that understanding of interconnectedness, feedback loops. You can see influences from Bertalanffy, Parsons, maybe even Luhmann.
Okay.
Narrative psychology, of course, provides the understanding of the profound power of stories in shaping identity, drawing on pioneers like Brunner, White and Epstein, Gonsalves.
Key figures there.
Definitely. Memetics offers tools for grasping cultural transmission from Dawkins to Diston and Keene. And bioecology, particularly Bronfenbrenner's work on nested developmental contexts, helps understand how individuals develop within these layered environmental systems.
That's quite a synthesis.
It really is. And this incredible synthesis truly allows for a comprehensive, dynamic view of how human beings construct reality through their relationships and the narratives they live by.
So, okay, with this incredibly robust theoretical foundation now laid out, what does this all imply for the future of social work?
That's right.
So when we think about its ethical and political dimensions, this feels like it moves beyond just understanding to truly influencing things.
Absolutely. And this raises that crucial question, doesn't it? How does social work truly position itself in a world so profoundly shaped by these powerful, often quite invisible narratives? According to the TCCR, the future of social work must involve actively reclaiming its transformative vocation.
Transformative vocation.
Meaning moving beyond merely responding to problems after they arise. It means consciously working to construct just and alternative meanings within society. It calls for social work to critically position itself against what Simonovic terms hegemonic narratives of exclusion and violence.
Can you give an example of such a narrative?
Sure. A powerful one is the widespread narrative of meritocracy, the idea that success is solely a result of individual effort and talent.
Right, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea.
Exactly. The TCCR argues this narrative often masked profound structural limitations and, in effect, legitimizes systemic inequality. Because if you believe everyone starts on an equal footing, it becomes much harder to see how societal structures actively disadvantage certain groups.
I see the critique.
So the TCCR encourages social work to recognize and challenge these subtle but powerful ways that power operates through narratives to shape what's considered true or legitimate. The ultimate goal is to unequivocally affirm human relationality and absolutely central to social transformation. To recognize that our collective well-being is intrinsically tied to the quality and the justice of our relationships.
So for you, the listener, think about this. This isn't just some abstract theory for academics. This is about real-world empowerment. It's about individuals and communities finding the agency to rewrite their own stories, to shift from what the TCCR calls resigned narratives, where people might passively accept difficult circumstances, maybe a community facing persistent environmental injustice, believing perhaps that their fate is just inevitable.
Wow, that powerlessness narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shifting from that to challenging narratives that actively seek to overcome adversity and oppression, it's about fostering critical awareness and catalyzing action against injustices, all through a powerful reinterpretation of their shared reality.
Precisely. It's about agency through narrative change.
Okay. The theoretical framework sounds incredibly compelling, really powerful. But how does the TCCR propose to bridge that gap? The gap from profound theory to, verifiable, measurable application in the real world. What are the biggest research challenges, the next steps needed to really solidify its place, not just in social work, but in the social sciences more broadly?
That's a critical question, and the TCCR is, I think, remarkably transparent about it. It openly acknowledges the crucial need for systematic empirical validation.
Okay, so it knows it needs testing.
Absolutely. To really cement its place as a foundational theoretical framework for both social work and the broader social sciences, it needs rigorous, systematic empirical research. And that means encompassing both qualitative and quantitative methodologies to test, and importantly, to continually refine its core premises.
So what would that research look like?
Well, research designs, for instance, should meticulously examine the dynamics of narrative systems. They need to look at key concepts like narrative systemicity, how stories actually function as integrated systems,
right,
and cognosystivity, how narratives shape knowledge and perception. And alongside that, really digging into those hierarchical displacements and frictions we talked about. So it means studying how stories interact, how some gain prominence while others fade, and how those tensions between narratives actually drive change.
And this applies across different scales.
Yes, the applications of this research need to span all levels of social life. At the microsocial level, we're talking individuals, families, small groups. For instance, analyzing how a family's shared narrative about overcoming, say, a health crisis shapes their coping strategies and future outlook.
Okay.
At the mesosocial level, it applies to institutions, communities, networks, like how a particular school's founding narrative influences its educational philosophy, its culture, the student experience.
Makes sense.
And then at the macrosocial level, it encompasses those broader discourses, ideologies, social movements. For example, researching how competing narratives about climate change influence national policy debates or public mobilization.
And you mentioned the Cognosystemic meme earlier. Does that play a role in the research?
Hugely. The Cognosystemic meme really stands out as a potentially powerful tool for modeling and understanding these complex psychosocial processes. Future studies could explore the predictability of collective behavior. Imagine meticulously tracking dominant narrative trajectories, identifying emergent memes that seem to catalyze specific actions.
Like what kind of actions?
Well, things like widespread public mobilization around an issue, or perhaps societal polarization, or even emotional contagion spreading rapidly within large groups online or offline.
So potentially predictive.
Potentially. Imagine the possibilities for social forecasting predicting, maybe, how a public health campaign's success might hinge on the adoption of certain cognosystemic memes within specific communities, or anticipating flashpoints of social conflict based on clashing narrative trajectories.
That sounds ambitious. What methods would be used?
It would require a really diverse array of research methods, things like sophisticated narrative content analysis of media, public discourse, cutting-edge social media data mining to track how memes propagate, but also, crucially, in-depth interviews and participant observation to understand the lived experiences behind the narratives, and maybe even advanced computational modeling of narrative networks to simulate how they might evolve over time.
Oh.
The ultimate goal, as Siminovich outlines it, is to develop predictive cognosystemic tools. tools that could help anticipate social crises, forecast significant societal changes, or even predict periods of relative stability within these complex psychosocial systems.
So it really underscores that point.
Exactly. It underscores that empirical validation, ongoing interdisciplinary dialogue, and a real commitment to theoretical openness are not just, nice to haves. They're absolutely essential for the TCCR to remain relevant, responsive, and to continue its evolution as a truly scientific framework.
Okay. As we bring this really fascinating deep dive to a close, perhaps consider this provocative thought for yourself listening now. If our realities are, in essence, constructed through narratives, the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we're told, the stories that dominate our cultural landscape, what foundational stories are you currently living by? And, perhaps more importantly, what new, maybe more just, more relational stories might you begin to co-create, whether that's in your personal life, your community, or even thinking on a broader scale for a better future?
It's a powerful question. And the TCCR, I think, in its ambitious scope, it really isn't presented as an endpoint in the theoretical journey of social work. Not at all. Instead, it's framed as a powerful starting point. A starting point for a more conscious, a more coherent, and ultimately a profoundly more effective social work. It's really an explicit invitation to professionals, to academics, to students alike, to actively participate in this disciplinary transformation, to help position social work as a true science of human relationships, one with its own distinct voice, its own historical meaning, and crucially compelling scientific relevance in the 21st century.
A compelling invitation indeed. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, if you wish to explore this transformative theory further, Jelena Simonovic-Minari's comprehensive book is available. It's titled, again, Cognosystemic Theory of Human Psychosocial Relational Construction, TCCR, a unified theoretical proposal for social work. You can find it in print on Amazon Books. We definitely recommend it for anyone who wishes to delve deeper into these fascinating and I think truly vital concepts for understanding our social world.